What's up guys, welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Riddell, and in today's video I'm going to be showing y'all a pretty fun and honestly dangerous chess opening trap for black in which we beat the London system in only 3 moves. Now the London is one of the most difficult openings to play against because it's so solid, and really oftentimes white doesn't really need to change their move order depending on what we do. However, it never hurts for us to have more tricks and traps up our sleeve, and as y'all are going to see, white's simply going to play normal London chess, and we're going to have a much better game at move 3. Now against the move d4, we're going to continue with d5, and now against bishop f4, we have officially reached the accelerated London system. White getting that dark squared bishop out, and usually in a position like this, we'd play something like g6, looking to fianchetto our bishop on f8. We could play knight f6, maybe a more hyper-dynamic move like c5, but in this position, we're going to play the somewhat strange-looking move h5. I mean, h5 isn't a blunder, but what is black really trying to do with this move? Well guys, whether this trap works or not really depends on white's next move. Part of the reason the London is so popular is that white really doesn't need to think much about what black does. I mean, usually white will just play d4, bishop f4, eventually in some kind of order put a pawn on e3, knight on f3, bishop d3, c3, castle kingside, throw that knight on d2. I know that was just a ton of moves, but most of the time, white is going to achieve this setup, and there's not much that black can do about it. In this position, the most popular move is knight f3, but a very close second is e3. I mean, oftentimes white will play d4, bishop f4, followed by e3. What exactly is wrong here? Well, e3 was actually a big mistake for white, because now we have e5, and I honestly think that black is simply better in this position. We are currently attacking that minor piece on f4, and now white really has a big decision to make. Do they want to take the pawn on e5 with the pawn on d4, or do they want to play bishop takes e5? Notice here how if bishop g3, we're simply going to play h4, and that bishop is going to have to capture e5 anyways. But let's first take a look at d takes e5. Against this move, we can now play g5 followed by h4. Notice how we're just hurling our pawns down the king side of the board. And in this position, we are simply about to go up a piece because this bishop has nowhere to go. So d takes e5 doesn't work because of g5 and h4 trapping that dark squared bishop. What about bishop takes e5? Well, in this case, we're going to get a third pawn involved with f6. I mean, if a move like bishop g3, we're simply going to play h4 followed by g5. And notice in this position how there is nowhere for this bishop to go. Yet again, we're simply about to win a piece. So guys, following getting this pawn involved with f6, bishop g3 doesn't work because of h4. What about the move bishop f4? Well, in similar fashion, we're simply going to play the move g5. And guys, in this position, I really do think there's only one move that gives white a fighting chance. I mean, again, if bishop g3, we're simply going to play h4 and say thank you for the bishop. I think here white really does need to play the move bishop e2, whole idea being that the queen and bishop are forming a battery ram looking to take that pawn on h5, attacking our king. I mean, the honest truth is that this bishop is going to fall. Why not try to get something out of it? Now, I do want to mention this is very hard for white to find following our main position of e5. In this position, white needs to take with the bishop, and after f6, continue with bishop f4, and following g5, play bishop e2. White needs to play perfectly for 3 moves straight, but even now, I still think that black is simply better. We're going to take that bishop off on f4, and following bishop takes h5 with check, attacking our king, we can simply play king d7. Now in this position, I really want to cover 2 moves. One of them is white taking the pawn on f4 and technically evening out the material. In that position, we would be up a minor piece, but down 3 pawns. And the second move that I want to cover is bishop g4 check, attacking our king yet again, trying to win this game quick. In either case, I still think that black is better. Let's first cover the move e takes f4. What do we do against this move? Well, now I recommend this setup of playing the move c6 followed by king c7, bishop d6, and then knight d7. Notice how I wasn't paying a ton of attention to what white was doing. Most of the time, it honestly doesn't matter. We're going to play c6, king c7, bishop d6, and knight d7. This is the setup that you need to remember. This is a very solid position for black, and it may seem as if this king on c7 is a little bit vulnerable, but the truth is that black is completely okay. In fact, in this position, the computer gives black almost a -2 advantage. I mean, following a move like castling kingside, we have a ton of flexibility here. The computer program actually recommends playing b5, b4, attacking the knight, and following attacking that knight on c3, playing a5. I mean, just hurling our pawns down the queen side of the board. But if you're not comfortable with this, that's honestly completely okay. In this position, we can play moves like knight e7, eyeing knight f5, knight b6, eyeing knight c4, and even king b8, just tucking that king away a little bit better. In this position, guys, we have a ton of flexibility, and I would take black every single time. So guys, that covers the move e takes f4, in which we're going to waste no time playing c6, king c7, bishop d6, knight d7 with potential queenside attack ideas. And again, we can always put a knight on c4 and a knight on f5. It just depends on your style of play. What about the move bishop g4 with check, attacking our king on d7? Well, in this position, we can actually play king d6. And I know some of you are wondering, wait a second, why on earth is Solomon recommending us throwing our king to d6 when none of our other pieces have even moved yet? Well, again, the truth is that white really doesn't have any good attacking chances and really no way to get a hold of this king on d6. Our very next move, say e takes f4 is played, we're going to play c6 with the whole king c7 idea. And if white ever wants to take our bishop on c8, that's completely okay. We'll just take back. We'll continue with king c7. We have bishop d6 ideas. We can put a knight on d7, e7 eyeing f5, b6, c4. We have a ton of flexibility here. Our rook on h8 is very active, putting pressure on h2. This rook on a8 is about to get active on either e8, taking up that file, or g8, attacking the pawn on g2. Black has a very nice game here, and I would take black every single time. So guys, going back to this main position, against the move e3, we have e5, and I think that black is simply better. What happens if white plays the move knight f3, which, by the way, is the best move? I mean, just getting a grip on both g5 and e5. But in this position, I still think that black is okay. I mean, we can simply play a move like knight c6, continue with bishop g4, pinning the knight on f3 to the queen on d1, and following a move like knight bd2, we can continue with e6. And if h3 is ever played, that's completely okay. We're not going to play bishop f5, but instead just take that knight on f3, continue with bishop d6. I mean, if white wants to take our bishop, we'll just take back with the queen. And if white doesn't take, and instead plays a move like bishop d3, we can take the bishop on f4 if we want to. We can also play a move like knight f6, knight e7, a6. We have a ton of flexibility here, and we're just playing chess. The reason I show this line is to show that following h5, if white doesn't fall for the trap by playing e3 immediately, we still have a very playable middle game position. If you'd like to learn more on the top 10 chess openings for black against the move d4, click the video to the left. If you'd like to learn more on the top 4 traps with the Ponziani opening for white, click that video to the right. Leave a comment to let me know what other videos you'd like to see covered on this channel. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.